The person that I am today is in great measure to the contribution that for 20 years so many different ACE directors have given me. I carry in me a little piece of each one of them, and that is something that I will never have been able to obtain unless I will have been a member of this wonderful organization.
This organization in Washington that continues to send faxes, and every one of those faxes has the stamp of urgent or very urgent on the top. And he said, one of the first things I want you to do is deal with this organization. I'd never heard of NASTAD.
It was absolutely critical for AIDS directors who had to be on the front lines to have their own voice with the feds, as opposed to going through their government all the time, through their secretaries, through other organizations. It really was empowering, but you had to be empowered because the job was so hard.
Right off the bat, I was at a meeting with Nick Rango where we essentially took on the federal partners. And I had not been an AIDS director all that long, and so it was sort of like a moment to go up against CDC and say, no, this is not something we're going to do, and these are the ways that things have to change. And so it was important in that respect, in that it set a culture of asserting what was necessary to do the job that had to be done and focusing on the outcomes rather than the processes.
Part of the culture came from the passion. Many members of NASTAD came from public health, but also from community backgrounds. They worked with their colleagues on the front lines early on in the epidemic. There was a commitment to solving this epidemic that I don't think you see in other areas of public health. And I think that sort of unique blend of personalities and experience created sort of a tapestry that was unique.
I tend to be an observer first. You know, let me get the lay of the land here before I'm going to jump into anything. So I don't think I said a word during my first meeting at NASTAD. And I remember being absolutely astounded that Liza Solomon and Beth Meyerson had, you know, gone like inches from the face of a federal official, just, you know, letting them know, not disrespectfully, but really calling them on the issue, you know, confronting them on the issue and not accepting, you know, no answer or, you know, saying you've got to do more than this, basically. And so that was the first time I'd ever been anywhere where I thought, oh, you know, here we are in a lower level position and really, you know, challenging someone in high level positions. And, you know, is this a good thing or a bad thing? And, you know, it was quite a training ground.
I realized, oh, we can talk back to the feds. You know, we can ask them questions. I mean, that was kind of amazed me.
Part of my leadership role is to challenge, is to question, is to push. And so I think I had great teachers.
The courage is something that I learned from Randy. You know, we do things sometimes that don't benefit us personally, that may not seem like the sensible thing to do, but they're the right thing to do for the communities that we serve and the people that we care about.
There was a sense of urgency. And I think those sort of were catalysts in terms of how we approached our work.
High energy. High investment of emotional energy.
One of the things coming back to Nick Rango was he never let us take the easy way out. We'd get into a tangle, you know, we'd have his conference calls. We'd come to a position and we all had to take that position. And that was sometimes very difficult. But he would never let you duck. You know, you got out there because that's what we had to do.
And sometimes it's been unpleasant, but we've worked through it. And I think really made some amazing gains from doing so.
As a person who had been involved in, the post-civil rights movement, the black movement, I always felt I was on the wrong side of the table at the state because I wanted to be with the people who were challenging the state to do better. But when I came to NASTAD, I felt I was on the right side of the table. I was in the room with people who were trying to take all of this body of information that tended to be very vast and is still very vast and condense it into a way that it's actionable.
What was exciting was I felt like I was a part of a group that was helping to shape shape a nation's response to HIV and AIDS. I felt that really, really strongly. And so that energy and that excitement that I would plug into when I would get to go to the NASTAD meetings, I could carry back with me to North Carolina.
One of the things that always makes me embrace NASTAD was addressing this human rights issues and social justice issues.
The thing that's been constant throughout is the background of homophobia that we all deal with in our communities, and the stigma and the health inequities, disparities that have always been present and are still the significant challenge for us.
If I look at the membership today, I'm absolutely overwhelmed with what they have to face in comparison to the early days of the epidemic.
It's a very tough job, and there isn't much support at home in many instances, and so NASTAD has really provided that support, but it has really helped the people who have come to NASTAD over the years get even better than we were at the time, or than they could have been on their own. I think it's made a huge contribution in that respect.
I listened to some of my colleagues last night, and I was so impressed with their command of what they're doing as an AIDS director. And I attribute a lot of this to NASTAD being in existence and being there for them.
And many of the things that have been achieved in HIV and AIDS over the last 10, 15 years has been totally attributable to the action of NASTAD.